I would say Huku has really improved the effectiveness of our communication because we get messages quickly. They're readily available. I think that messages are more accessible coming through Huku than in emails. A lot of our RBTs, our direct service providers, they're in sessions. They may not be able to check their emails. They don't really have access to that in their session. But if they have Huku on their phone, they're able to get those messages immediately coming through like a text, which is really helpful if it's something last minute that we need to let them know about. And like I was saying before, having everybody who needs that information all in one group so that everyone gets that information at the same time, I think that has been probably one of the most helpful aspects of that. Some of our success criteria for that was just ease of access. Like, was this easy for people to use? Was it going to be confusing for people to set this up, especially when we have new staff coming on, adding this into our onboarding process? Was that going to be a challenge? And it was just very evident early on, as soon as we put it into place, that everyone made the transition really easily. We thought that it may have been harder for staff to kind of remember, like, oh, I don't need to text the scheduling line anymore. I need to just put it in my Hucu channel. But everyone adapted to that really quickly. There wasn't really a time that it took people to kind of remember, like, oh, I need to change the way I communicate this. And two, even direct messaging of other staff, it's helped us move away from texting each other, because we don't necessarily want a supervisor to be texting with an RBT on their personal phones. That's not ideal, but that's what we were doing before. And so just moving all of even those direct communications into Hucu and have direct messages between two staff, that happened very easily as well. And so when we saw how quickly we were able to adapt with one region, we felt like it was a good move to go ahead and expand this to other regions. And so getting everything into one place in Hucu really did help, I think, the consistency of scheduling and the communications in that region, where it can be a little bit harder to keep everybody on the same page. I think the Hucu team has been extremely responsive and extremely helpful. And all have been able to provide any kind of support we needed. Like, even when I had some questions about setting up the patient channels and I was going to go in and switch all the accounts over myself, like, someone just immediately volunteered to be like, hey, we'll switch these, we'll switch these over for you, which was extremely helpful, because that was time that I could have, that I was able to work on other clinical things, and to have someone from Hucu do that for me was really helpful.